Debian and GNOME hide a registered sex offender on their team. Many open source projects, many of them attack, ban, and ostracize Jews, Christians, conservatives, and a number of other groups. Do those facts make you less likely to use the software that they create? To put it more succinctly, does objectionable behavior by developers, by the projects that run open source projects, by those organizations, the foundations, the companies, does their objectionable behavior impact which software you choose to use? We've talked about this sort of thing many times in the past. For example, when Mozilla Corporation did some pretty unseemly things and got super duper political. They even rebranded themselves as a global crew of activists, right? It came to question, should we use or not use their product, their key product being the Firefox web browser, because of their politics, right? How much do their politics actually factor into the decisions we make about the software we use? And there's really pretty great arguments to be made both for and against using the software made by people that you vehemently disagree with, right? I've heard from many people who see what organizations like Mozilla do, and they say, well, I'm never touching Firefox again. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Other people take the approach of like, well, fine then. I'm going to use it even more now and never contribute to them a penny and just almost use it out of spite. I kind of understand both approaches here, right? Well, as the months and years go on, the objectionable things that some of these organizations are doing goes far beyond political differences, right? We're deep into some pretty heinous behavior that's happening in some of these organizations. I think what we're seeing going on in both Debian and GNOME really is just the cream of the crop of, oh my gosh, that's horrible behavior. Because we now know that they are very much aware that a registered sex offender is a core part of their project, and they've been working to hide that fact from not just their users, but the other contributors on the project, which it brings in some serious legal ramifications, but almost more importantly, from the point of view of this discussion, it brings in serious moral and ethical quandaries. Like these organizations are putting the comfort of a serial sexual predator above the safety of everybody else. Right? And that's pretty doggone objectionable. Like it's really hard to see it from their point of view on this one because it's just so objectionable. So I posted this question less than an hour ago. I just posted this up as of the time of this recording, just like 40 some odd minutes ago. A little poll over on X. And I said simply this. If a software project or company hides the fact that one of their developers is a registered sex offender, are you more or less likely to use the software? And I just put the poll up there, and the early results, I think there's only 190 votes in so far. I'm sure though we'll have a good 1,000 or 2,000 by morning, but the early results are about what I would expect. 80.5% say they are less likely to use the software. 16.8% say that it would have no impact on their choice of the software. And 2.6% of people say that they are more likely to use the software. I'm guessing those people are being a little bit of trolls. There's a few trolls in there. Though realistically, there's probably a few people who actually think that way. And what makes me think that is these organizations are actively taking care of and protecting and promoting and praising the people who commit these crimes, right? Who are these sex offenders. And so since we know that is occurring, there probably are some people out there that are like, yay, sex offenders. I don't know. It's gross, but there's probably a few of them out there, right? But the majority of people, the vast majority, 80.5% so far, like, nah, it would be less likely. In fact, I already saw in the comments, one person put it nicely. I should have grabbed a screenshot of this one so I could quote it exactly, but paraphrasing, he said something like this. It's not a matter of it being less likely to use the software. If an organization is hiding the fact that one of their developers is a registered sex offender, so particularly such a heinous one as what we've seen over the last week, it's not less likely. It's an oh hell no situation. This person said, I would never even consider using software from this sort of organization. And other people chimed in that I saw and were making the point of, look, using the software is one thing, but what I definitely would never do is be a part of that project. And I think that's an excellent point to make. Choosing to use a piece of software that is written and developed and tested and shipped by morally questionable individuals with very objectionable, in some cases highly illegal behavior. Well, that's one thing, right? Because you could say that, well, there are some great albums and musicians out there that I don't agree with their morals and ethics, but they make a great album. Or there's some great novels that I've read over the years where when you learn the details about the life of the author, you're like, oh boy, if I saw that guy walking down the street, I might cross to the other side. But boy, did he write a great book, right? So, I mean, sometimes you have to separate the art from the artist, so to speak. So I get that. I understand that idea that it would just not have an impact on their usage of the software or not. I understand that. I also completely understand. In fact, I'm probably more in this boat where I am significantly less likely to use a piece of software because of knowing what I now know about the people who build it. I just realistically am. Because it makes me feel yucky to use the software. And I know it may sound silly. I love my operating systems. I love installing operating systems. I love building operating systems. I love testing them. I love using them. I love taking screenshots of them. I love computers and operating systems, and I find they bring me a tremendous amount of joy. And when I don't know the people who build it, well, it's fine. But once I do know the people who build it, if I just don't like them, okay, no big deal. But if I know it's like pure evil, oh gosh, it's hard to have that same level of joy using that piece of software anymore. But being the user is a different sort of thing than being a contributor, being an active developer or tester or whatnot on the project. Knowing that you would have to interact with those people on a regular, often daily basis. That's a hell no scenario for me. There's no way, knowing what I know now, there's no way that I would contribute in any way to Debian or GNOME. And I know many people from Debian and GNOME are jumping up and down when they hear that. They're like, great, we would never want you around Lunduke. I know that for a fact because, shoot, GNOME has banned the mere mention of my name. So they like sex offenders, but they don't like the word Lunduke. Why? I assume because Lunduke doesn't like sex offenders, etc. So I don't think there ever was much of a chance of me and GNOME hanging out all that much going forward. But just the same, it is. I just can't envision a scenario where I would learn these facts and say, well, now I'm going to feel comfortable contributing to this project, being part of this organization, community, whatever you want to call it. I just wouldn't feel comfortable with it. And let's zoom out a little bit. Let's zoom out a little bit, because we're not just talking about one isolated incident here. We've seen so many actions taken by so many open source projects, GNOME being one of the worst offenders, where they have taken very extreme actions to attack groups of people, conservatives, Christians, Jews, etc. Right? They pick a group, or usually many groups. They tend to not like conservatives and Jews and Christians. That whole group of individuals, they don't like them. And they ban them, they attack them, they ostracize them. I mean, we saw the articles posted on the GNOME website that were just going after Jews hardcore, and the same board members that sit on the GNOME board of directors just attacking viciously anyone who was conservative or Christian or Jewish. It's crazy the amount of ostracizing and attacking, going so far as to, in some cases, calling for the hunting and murder of these sorts of people, calling them Nazis, calling them fascists, calling them maggots. It's so extreme. It's utterly ridiculous. It's not mild disagreements, right? We're not talking about someone who has a theological quandary relating to one religion or another, or is, I have some historical concerns about this religion or this political movement. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about intense vilification, ostracizing, banning, attacking, the encouraging of violence towards groups, right? It's very extreme, and it's so objectionable, so hideous, so unethical, and deeply immoral. Does that make you less or more likely to use their software, right? If a group, whether it's GNOME or anyone else, is ostracizing and banning and attacking groups like Jews or Christians or conservatives, are you going to use the software or not use the software? Is that going to have an impact on your choice? Again, 83.5% say less likely, 13% say no impact, 3.5% say more likely. And I think that I actually anticipate, again, because I just posted that within just minutes ago, I anticipate that number will actually go up. I expect that more likely number will grow. I don't think it'll be the majority by any chance, but I think it could easily hit 10 or 20%, because it really is a group of people within the world of computing that deeply, deeply view the banning and ostracizing and vilification and dehumanizing and attacking of Jews, Christians, and conservatives as an almost religiously holy thing to do, right? Their faith, whatever that faith is, that leftist woke faith that they have, dictates that they need to attack these people viciously, including call them horrible names, libel them, slander them, attack them, encourage the hurting and violence towards them, right? And so from their point of view, if people representing a software project, whether it's a company or organization, whatever, do that, go after people like that, well, that's going to make them more likely to like the software. I mean, it just is. Now, again, though, that's just not going to be the majority. I mean, looking at it right now, it's 83.6% say that they're less likely to use software where their membership does that sort of thing. And I think that number will probably stay kind of close. I don't anticipate that number dropping below 70%, even when this poll closes, 24 hours from now. And I kind of sit in the same boat too. Again, it's the same sort of thing. It's like with organizations like Red Hat or IBM or Mozilla or Microsoft, where I strongly object to the vilification of people that they do, right? Where they say, you're a conservative, well, you're bad. Oh, you're a white guy, you're bad. Oh, you're a straight white guy, you're mega bad. Oh, you're a Jew or a Christian, you're triple bad, right? I strongly object to that. And not just because some of those things describe me, but because honestly, taking those views of actively ostracizing, banning, attacking, and vilifying another group and saying, no, they can't be involved. No, they're so evil they can't be involved. That to me is bad. That to me is an evil act. And I find that so offensive that I'm far less likely to use a piece of software made by an organization that does that sort of thing. And of course, you look through so many big tech companies. I mean, IBM, Red Hat, Microsoft, so many others. And you can find so many examples of deeply immoral and unethical things that they do. Just objectionable, awful things. It's a dime a dozen. There's a whole lot of them. If I had a nickel for every time a big tech company or foundation or organization did something that I found just kind of repulsive and disgusting, I'd have a metric butt ton of nickels. I managed to keep myself from swearing there. I think you knew the word I was going to say. I very rarely, in recording these shows, I very rarely ever have the urge to use a naughty word. There I almost did, just out of pure joy. But anyway, there you go. Every now and then I can swear. Where was I? What was I even talking about? Right. So it's very hard. You have to pick and choose your battles clearly, obviously. Like for me, I can't tell other people what software they should or should not use. I'm not going to tell people you can't go and use Debian running the GNOME desktop environment. I'm not going to tell people that. There are very good reasons to run Debian and GNOME. And if you want to do that, God bless you. Go for it. Go nuts. At this point, I can't. I can, but I don't want to. It doesn't make me feel good. Especially when there are other options. Devuan, which is a Debian fork, not woke. But my favorite choice, though, is Open Mandriva. It's not a Debian fork. It's Mandrake Linux based long time ago. But that's what I use. But since we do have so many options available to us, available to me, I have a difficult time convincing myself to choose the most heinous of software from the most heinous software organizations like Debian and GNOME. It's worth thinking about. It's worth wondering about I put this thought to all of the organizers, the contributors, the board members, the CEOs and whatnot from all of these organizations that are dealing with these issues right now. And I'm talking directly to people at GNOME and Debian and so many others. Consider what sort of position you're putting your contributors in. When you begin banning and ostracizing people for their religion and their politics, which, come on, you are. I'm talking to GNOME specifically right now, but there are many others as well. And when you are not only harboring, but protecting and covering for someone who's literally a serial child rapist. Again, I'm talking to both GNOME and Debian here, and Ubuntu. What position does that put your contributors in? I think it's very telling. As time goes on, as so many of these things have come to light, as the Lunduke Journal has reported on so many of these issues, from not just these couple of organizations that we're talking about today, but so many others. And those organizations have chosen deliberately, decidedly, to not rectify the problems. They have chosen to specifically continue to cover for the people who are the criminals. They've chosen specifically to cover, promote, advocate, and support the people who attack other people, call people Nazis and fascists and maggots and attack Jews and Christians and everybody else. They've made that choice. That was a conscious decision. And as they make those conscious decisions again and again, every single week, it becomes increasingly unlikely that a huge percentage of both users and potential contributors are going to want to be a part of that software in any way. They're dooming themselves in the long run. And for what? So that they can morally align themselves with serial sexual predators? So that they can virtue signal that they called a Jew a fascist Nazi? How insane is that? Anyone calls a Jew a Nazi is retarded, by the way. That they can virtue signal, that they ostracize and kicked out, those dirty Christians and conservatives. Really? That's so important to them that they're willing to just utterly destroy the future of their organization and their software projects? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to watch. It's kind of painful to watch. I wanted to put this all out there. If you want to follow the vote that I put up, I just posted it on my X account at Lunduke Journal. If you want the links to all that, by the way, go to lunduke.com. There's links to where you can follow the Lunduke Journal on X, YouTube, Rumble, Locals, Facebook, Patreon, Itch. You can get my shows on Itch. You know, you could do that. There's an audio podcast RSS feed, which is where most people grab the show. Fountain, iTunes, Substack, Spotify. There's a forum over there. There's so many links. There's so many ways you can support the Lunduke Journal. So many ways you can grab the shows for free. To follow all the stuff that I post regularly. It's all up there at lunduke.com. And thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers, excuse me, for making it possible for me to do this work. I truly couldn't do any of it without you. I mean, without you guys, what could I do? I'd have to be including ads from Red Hat and Microsoft and Amazon, and I'd never be able to tell the truth about any of these organizations or any of their partner companies that they do business with, or any of the open source projects that they particularly want to influence or fund or control, which ultimately means anything. If you really look back over the coverage of the Lunduke Journal over the last several years, of the hundreds of episodes that will come out. In a given year, there will be 300 episodes of the Lunduke Journal. I can't remember how many there were last year, but it was something like that. And this year's on track for something similar. It's crazy. I mean, it's a show. Almost every day is a show, some days several shows. And if you really look through all of them, you'd have to get rid of 90+% of them. You'd end up with 20 or 30 shows that I could still do if I was running advertisements and corporate sponsorships. It's crazy. There's so many stories that couldn't be told. And you see that because a lot of the stories that we've been talking about, I mean, look at the stories just from the last week. About project defacements and that registered sex offender guide, all the other stuff. How much of that was being covered over at The Verge or Wired or ZDNet or The Register or any of these other tech news outlets? None of it. None of it. How about all of the leaks from Microsoft and IBM and Red Hat and Adobe and on and on and on? None of it. None of it. None of the opinion pieces could be run on any of those sites. None of the whistleblowers and leaks could be run on any of those sites. None of these hard-hitting details of the real, like, deeply researched items could be run. None of it. It's only possible because of you. And that's kind of amazing. I owe you one. Shoot, I owe you 12. I owe you a dozen. At least the Lunduke Journal could not do what the Lunduke Journal does if it weren't for not just the generosity, but the awesomeness of all of you. So thank you for making this possible. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast.